We're starting with Flacco and the resurgent Bengals. How good was the 40-year-old veteran? There was a sign in the stands that read, Joe 2.0. Not better than Burrow, just different. A game-winning drive with a kick to win it. Here's Flacco this season. With the Browns 1-3, 200 yards, and he goes over to the Bengals. He's 1-1. It's 280 yards, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers, passer rating of 100. I saw that you were retweeting a graphic that said that you picked the Bengals correctly. Just want to put it on the record.
I retweeted our show. KW, you do not get any credit for that.
I picked the Bengals.
KW, you did the first 90 minutes of the show. You were talking about how you literally said this. Classic 2 for you. The Achilles is a 2-year injury.
Why, did Aaron Rodgers not play well?
Rodgers is back. You did a whole thing. You told the producers before the show you were going Steelers. And then in the last moment, you kind of switched just so you could say you were right. No, again.
We both got it.
So what's the question other than you wanting to Brew, he just can't handle
I got it right.
He just can't.
You did not get
You
that
did
one.
not get it right.
You did not.
You guys are nuts.
Then why did the graphic say Steelers?
The graphic was wrong.
No, okay. All right, go ahead. What's the question?
Do you agree with me that the Bengals can win the AFC North?
The Bengals can win the AFC North.
Yes, they can, absolutely. Again, I'm not appealing to Vegas here, but I just to give what a neutral observer would say. The Bengals are 425, plus 425, so Brew, that basically saying they have a little less than a 20% chance is a way to read it. The Ravens are plus 135, and the Steelers are plus 125. So the Ravens are still second. Second, but barely. Right now, Vegas projects the Bengals to win 7, the Ravens to win 8, and the Steelers to win 9, which is to say it's very tight. And I do feel like we have something of proof of concept over a decent sample that the Bengals can play 500 football without Joe Burrow. The numbers they put up that 2 years ago,
Jake.
I mean, they're 4-3. Do I think Flacco can play around the level that Jake Browning did when Joe Burrow was out in 2023? Sure.
Yeah.
And so now that they're 3-4, and now that I think you saw some of my concerns for the Steelers defense come to life a bit, and I'm not going to buy this. The Steelers were not unlucky last night. No. They've had games this year against Justin Fields and 40-year-old Joe Flacco where that defense allowed more than 30 points. You're supposed to lose at least one of those. Yeah. So those two performances being 1-1 is right. And so I do think the Bengals are live in a very weird division in a very weird conference right now.
Absolutely, positively not. There is no way the Bengals are not winning this division. All last night showed is that, as we all said, everybody except Danny said the Steelers aren't for real. That's all last night proved.
Well, Wilds kind of thought they were for real. Achilles is a 2-year injury.
Well, you thought they were for real. Did you think they're for real?
Lose.
Okay, yes. That's a yes.
I've started to believe more in Mike Tomlin. When you put up some graphics that were like, this team is getting
that's right. You said if they win, they're going to the Super Bowl.
They got a
5-1 when they don't.
They are not very good. And here's the thing with Flacco. I don't think any of us are surprised what he did last night. We didn't pick it. I think, Nick, you may have picked him to do that last night. He has this in him, and he's got a good 4 or 5 game stretch.
But that might be all they need, Brew.
I don't think so. And he's already 2 games into his stretch because he had 2 touchdowns and no picks.
But he wasn't good in that game.
But he had his 2. Look, back 2 years ago in Cleveland.
Yes.
5 games, 13 touchdowns, 8 picks. That's not awesome, but it was enough of a run to get them in the playoffs. Playoffs come, I thought they'd beat Houston. I think it was Houston they lost to. He throws 2 picks. He turns back into a bump. Then just last year with Indy, his first 2 games, he had like 5 touchdowns, no picks. And then goes on this interception spree and ends up not even finishing the season with them. So he has about 4 or 5 games. And he's, like I said, he's already started it now. So I don't think they can win the division. And that leaves my Ravens. Because Pittsburgh, blown opportunity. I'll get to that when we talk Rodgers. But the Steelers aren't looking great. The Bengals, I'm sorry, that defense is still bad.
The Ravens are just an
I just don't believe
right
it.
now.
Well, I'm assuming Lamar will be back next game.
Yes.
Now, I will say, and I've been saying this for weeks, they got to beat Chicago.
And
if they lose to Chicago, if they beat Chicago, I will feel like, okay, they're back, and then I'll expect them to win a lot of games. If they lose to Chicago, they're just pretty much done this year.
Okay.
So that's the key game. But, yeah, it's right there for my Ravens.
I'm going to take it a step further.
Okay.
I'm ready to write off the entire AFC North.
So, somebody's got to make the playoffs.
No, but he means
someone will
as
make
a
the playoffs, but like,
get bounced. Okay.
But the idea that the AFC North is this powerhouse slugfest, you don't want to play them, like, well, I'll play them. I would sign up to play any of these teams. So here are the defenses, and it's jarring because it's usually, all right, three great defenses in the Bengals. Steelers are 28th in yards. The Bengals are 31st. The Ravens are 29th. The Browns are 3rd. Great, but the Browns can't score points.
Right, the Browns are the worst quarterback in the league.
It's just, everyone's scoring on the rate. It is just a shocking level of a switch of an identity.
Correct.
For a whole conference.
Division. But
for the whole division. Here's the other thing. I got one more graphic.
You still, though, honestly, you still don't necessarily want to play those teams.
I would play those teams. Well, certainly you'd be okay playing the Steelers.
The Browns'
in the
defense is just, I mean, they beat the Packers.
Oh, no, the Browns' defense
makes it rough. The Bengals because of the offense. And the Steelers, they beat your Patriots.
Barely, and we turned the ball over 5
No,
times.
but hold on. Just before you get to the other graphic, to add to Bruce's point, I agree. Not the Browns.
It's not a good division
the Ravens when Lamar's back. The Bengals with Flacco for the time being, and the Steelers because of, I do think they have proof of concept in this. They are all dangerous on any given weekend.
Yes.
But to your point, it seems impossible that any of them are going to play 3 consecutive excellent playoff games and make a Super Bowl, which is, I think, what your point.
Well, so when the Ravens get rolling, don't try to jump on the bandwagon. I'm just letting you know now.
Everybody knows that.
What is it?
What's your other
You're what? A Lamar guy?
Remember he even
it's October 17th.
I'm a Lamar guy.
But go ahead.
You were writing off the Ravens.
I've always loved him since then. I always liked him previous. I'm going to save this graphic. I've got a graphic in the chamber. I just want to say.
Okay, well, that's good because I have something I need to do.
Right now?
Right now, just real quick.
Here we go.
Because I agree. No, nothing's coming out.
We're always just nervous.
But I
marching
did
band.
something. I don't want the committee to be mad at me.
Uh-oh.
And you'll notice, you guys will see how valuable Marshall is when you see the names of these
I could
tiers.
See that. Yeah.
Oh, you got.
But just because I do think your larger point, and maybe yours as well, is the AFC right now is really weird. The seemingly, and I know people don't want to hear it from me, but I think everyone right now kind of agrees with it. The best team and the scariest team is 3-3. There is the teams that going into the year we really believed in, Cincinnati and Baltimore, have horrific defenses, and both of their quarterbacks are currently hurt, even if one, different injuries. So I just kind of threw this together. And this, to me, is kind of about the Ravens, and then it segues well to the Steelers. Chiefs are the favorites. I think the Bills are clearly second best. And then you have 3 teams in the Patriots, Colts, and Chargers that are solid, good teams, but I don't think are, like, scary to face. And then a Ravens and Bengals team that are not as good as those teams, but are oddly, like, if the Bengals were to make the playoffs, in theory, Joe Burrow has come back. At the end of the year, and the Ravens, obviously. And then this group of teams that can beat you any given weekend, but they're just too flawed to have any real championship hopes, and there's bad teams. So it's a weird conference right now where the Bills, I think, have real issues, and they're clearly a top 2 team in the conference.
I'm not sure. I disagree. I know we're not going to turn this into a Bills segment, but I'm not 100% sure the Bills are clearly the second best team.
But I mean, the Patriots are hard to say. The Colts.
I know.
The Colts are about to start playing some pretty good
Yeah,
teams.
and so then we'll see.
There's
But
a
it's just
reputation.
weird. Like,
We'll
it's
see
just
what
so,
they are.
like, the Colts have the best offense and the best record, and nobody believes in them.
Right.
Except for Greg Jennings. It's just, it's a really weird conference
It is.
at the
There's
moment.
no
All right, let's
question.
flip to the other side, and I'm going to debut this graphic that everyone's been on pins and needles about.
Okay.
Steelers still in first place. Aaron Rodgers had 4 touchdowns, proved he could still throw it. The Hail Mary was the longest throw since 2017.
Yeah.
Not his, anybody's.
Oh,
No,
really?
by anybody.
Yeah, he threw it
Anyone.
70. I mean, that was
70,
impressive.
But the defense did allow 470 yards. I'm not going to. I'm going to strap in. Most touchdowns, 10 or more air yards.
Is this the graphic we were all
This
waiting
is not
for?
the graphic.
Oh, okay.
I got another one. Everyone's
I wanna see
waiting
these
for it. I
graphics.
can't wait
Yeah.
for it. It's Aaron, Bake Show, and Sam Darnold. How should Aaron feel after last night?
A little deja vu. A little like, ooh. The idea was I could still be a solid quarterback, and I'm on this team with an excellent defense, and we get off to a good start, and then it gets going, and that was the story with the Jets. Now, they weren't 4-1. They were 2-1, though, and then the coach was fired by 2 and 3. And not just also deja vu on awesome moment, sideline interaction with teammate or coach that then turns oddly sour. Like whether it's Bob Saleh trying to hug him or Broderick Jones trying to get a piggyback ride. Either way, like there's a few. And Aaron, listen, Aaron played really well yesterday.
Yeah.
I know it says he has 2 picks. One of them was a bad throw. The other one was just an unbelievable play.
Also may not have been a catch.
I mean, I think it was, but regardless, it certainly was not Aaron's fault. That was a pinpoint pass that was taken away. But it's about to get really hard. And the other reason that I am more open to Cincinnati having a shot than you is because if Baltimore is just bad, and it is going to come down to these two teams, then the thing is this, Cincinnati has the Jets next, then the Bears, then a bye. And then they get Pittsburgh again. Pittsburgh, in the meantime, has the Packers, the Colts, the Chargers.
Yeah.
They've already had their bye. So if we just assume Cincinnati can beat the Jets and say they lose to the Bears, they're 4-5 coming off a bye, playing this team again.
Yeah.
That is going through their toughest stretch of football. And what I saw from the Steelers defense yesterday did not shock me. And that was the point I was trying to make on the show.
Really?
Yes, because if we put up their numbers, the Steelers defense has been making their living in a way that I did not think was sustainable.
Yeah.
And I said that if they're not going to get 5 sacks a game, if they're not going to force multiple turnovers, teams are moving the ball on them.
Very easy.
And that's what we saw.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, they finally themselves did turn it over a bit. And that's the difference in the game. And so I'd be worried if I were Aaron. Even though, credit where it's due, he was excellent. And that pass he threw to Freiermuth on the move.
That was a
little
great
mobile.
pass.
Right. I mean,
His mobility all night
was good.
surprisingly
And extending
good.
plays, all that was really good.
Look, he can definitely, excuse me, rightly so feel that the defense let him down. But the defense saved him against the Patriots,
Yes,
with the
definitely.
5 turnovers. So it's evened out. And also, and I agree, he played very well last night. The interception, the one wasn't obviously all his fault. But those 2 interceptions did lead to 10 points for Cincinnati. So instead of, they went in the half, Pittsburgh, down, 17-10. They could have been up 10-7. And who knows, maybe they would have scored had they not thrown the interception. So he did have some part, even though I thought he played really well. But he should just look at this as a blown opportunity. And Nick pointed out the schedule. Like, they could have went up 4 games on Baltimore, not to mention Cincinnati. They would have had an advantage over them. And now you mentioned the next 3 games, which are huge. Then after that, they've got Cincinnati, which obviously could beat them, Chicago, which obviously isn't a layup, Buffalo, and Baltimore.
Right.
And that's not even going into, you still got
and
Detroit.
Baltimore at the end of the year.
So we talked about it early in the year. Danny mentioned it yesterday. We all said, man, if they could be 5-1, like that's doable. Then they get to the meat of their schedule. and, we'll see where they can go. They didn't do it. They went 4-2, which is fine, but
it just feels like a missed
opportunity, no question.
We kicked around one of my buddies.
Kicked around one of your buddies?
No, I kicked around a joke about Wilt's 100-point game.
Okay.
Where you come to the huddle and you're just like, who's got Wilt? That's the only who's got Wilt? If I was Aaron Rodgers, and Dusty, can you put on Jamar Chase's target graphic?
Is this the graphic we were
This is the graphic. For? Who's got Jamar Chase?
Yeah, nobody.
Who's got him? Most targets in the last 15 years. Flacco threw the ball to him 23
That's
times.
funny. The last time it happened was Aaron to Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
So it's odd to me, and give credit to Aaron Rodgers, because I would have a moment of like, look, I know I'm on the other side of the ball, but like it feels like they're feeding Jamar a lot. And the fact that Flacco really felt, until he hit T in the end, was kind of a one-note song, feed Jamar, feed Jamar, feed Jamar, and there's nothing they could do to stop it, made me feel even worse.
This is another. So this is I get plenty of stuff wrong. I had the Raiders second place in the AFC West. The one thing that I will pat myself on the back for from this offseason was not buying into the hype of old corners that change teams that people like that were going to make a difference. I think in Baltimore, Jair has been MIA,
right.
And in Pittsburgh, when they traded Minka for Jalen, I said I think they got worse. And Jalen last night was getting cooked. He's a future Hall of Famer in my book. I think he's a great player. I just don't think they have the horses on the back end, man.
Not.
And I think that it has been covered up by the great pass rush. Because Herbig is a better player. He should be on the field more than he is. TJ's obviously great. Cam Hayward is seemingly ageless. They have a good front, but they got run on last night.
And that's what that passing game opens up the run.
Correct. And Jamar that was a day when Jamar reminds everyone, even as yesterday I'm talking about why isn't Puka the best receiver in football? And the answer is probably because there is just a level Jamar and Justin Jefferson can get to that nobody else quite can.
Well, that's what Bruce sees himself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's right. I forgot. He's Jamar Chase.
I'm going to let y'all talk about it.
Extra rest for Rodgers, who's hosting the Packers. It's going to be a huge storyline next week. Raiders rivalry game against Mahomes. Vegas has Vegas as 11.5-point underdogs in Arrowhead. Rashee Rice making his debut. Sunday's game will be the first time Rice-Worthy and Hollywood Brown will have ever played together. I know you said that earlier this week. It's still shocking.
Yeah, so the whole idea of last offseason was to have this three-person group be their receiving core, and they played 0 snaps together.
Any chance the Raiders upset the Chiefs?
0%. So a couple things here. One is, so we haven't talked about it on the show. Josh Simmons is still away from the team, and it's very kind of ominous and mum about why he's gone, but it's a personal family matter back in California. So you worry for him personally, his family. As far as on the field, I will give Brett Veach and the Chiefs a lot of credit because, remember, Josh Simmons was never supposed to be the starting left tackle. Jalen Moore, who they signed from San Francisco, was supposed to be, and then Josh Feldham in the draft, they got him. So I am not as concerned about missing your starting left tackle because they missed him against Detroit, and they had no idea that was coming. That happened day of. So I think they'll be fine there. I also think people have to recognize that Rashee Rice, in his last dozen games, basically after his first 8-9 games as a rookie, through the end of that year, into the playoff game, the first 3 games of last season, was a 7-catch, 90-yard-a-game player. He was over a big sample. And so now he hasn't played in more than a year, maybe a little rusty, but I think he will instantly draw attention. And then there are 2 graphics that make the Chiefs losing, to me, somewhat impossible. One is, of course, Patrick and his career against the Raiders. And we all know this, obviously. That is all pre-tackle to turn the tide.
14 games before tackle.
And how about this? Patrick in his career, when he's at least a touchdown favorite, they're 45-3. He has 110 touchdowns and 25 turnovers. Now, one of those losses did come to the Raiders in 2020. Not
the bus driving game?
The bus driving game, and that's the only reason that team, as the defending Super Bowl champs, didn't go undefeated. Well, it was an early season Raiders game, but they're not going to have Brock Bowers. The Chiefs are rolling. I know they've won 3 or 4. They haven't, they're not on a winning streak, but the offense is rolling.
Well, since tackle the turn of the tide.
Since tackle the turn of the tide, they've been great. They did lose one game.
Well, they lost the game.
They did lose one game.
But they won one of the
They lost one of the 2 games they played since tackle the turn of the tide.
And, no, that's not. They've lost one of 3 games since then. And so I just don't think the Raiders can beat them. I'm not guaranteeing a Chiefs blowout, even though I think that's happening. I'm guaranteeing a Chiefs victory.
2 years ago, the Raiders beat the Chiefs. That was when Antonio Pierce figured them out. That
was Christmas.
When he discovered the blueprint to beat the Chiefs, and he carried that on. But no, they're not beating the Chiefs because obviously it's a division game. Mahomes even talked to the rivalry, which a lot of people would laugh at just because of the fortunes recently of the squads. But it is a division game, so it is a rivalry. And the Chiefs are energized. As well as they've started to play, it's like they're getting back a top player.
Yes.
This is what they've been waiting all year for. And even if Rashee Rice doesn't have a great individual game, some of those receivers will. Whether it might be him, it might be Kelsey or Xavier, well, somebody, because of Rice's presence, is going to have a great game. And they're only 3-3. So it's not like they have no room for error. The division is tough, obviously, with Denver and the Chargers. So they know they have no room for error. They can't let up, take a team lightly. And so, the Chiefs are going to put it on them.
Do you think Geno's going to play this bad this whole year?
He'll get better.
That's what I'm waiting for, a Geno kind of get-right game where he doesn't turn the ball over, he's back to being accurate, and he plays just a
I think
solid
that'll
game.
happen. I would be surprised if he's able to not turn the ball over here, because one of the things I respect about Geno is his fearlessness, and he turns that up in spots when they need it. Meaning, like, we're trailing.
Right.
He's not going to go quietly.
Sure.
And so that's one of the reasons he can have these 3 turnover games, is because if it throws a pick and because of that they're trailing, and now he's like, oh, I have to make a big play, and that can. So I do think Geno will play better. I don't know if this is the weekend he plays.
I don't like this line. It's too much. Commanders favored in Dallas Sunday at 4 on Fox. Dak versus his old DC Dan Quinn. CeeDee Lamb expected to return. Nick, are you going to write off the loser of this game?
Oh, yeah, I am.
Really?
And the reason I paused is I've already kind of written off the Cowboys.
Is write-off from playoffs? From making the playoffs?
From making the playoffs. That's what I mean. I think either these teams.
He wrote the Cowboys off when Schottenheimer got hired.
And by the way, I was wrong. I was wrong about being pessimistic of Schottenheimer. I was dead right that without Micah Parsons, they'd have the worst defense in football. And so the Cowboys, to me, they have been written off because I don't think you can compete for the postseason with that level of defense, and I think we're seeing it week in, week out. The Commanders are in a different boat, which is I still think they're a dangerous team, but you simply cannot lose to Chicago and Dallas in back-to-back weeks, 2 teams that, in theory, are competing for the same wild card spots, or I guess for Dallas, the division spot, as you when you're going to Arrowhead the next weekend. You just can't. And the NFC standings are really weird because unlike the AFC where there are 5 legitimately bad teams, there's only one team in the NFC that kind of feels like our season's done, and that's the Saints. Now, I would say the Cardinals maybe should feel that way as well, going from 2-0 to 2-4, but the Giants feel like they're alive, and then it's the 2 teams playing. I mentioned every team that the Commanders and Cowboys are ahead of. So if you lose this game, I just think it's too much of a logjam, barring a collapse the likes of which from Philly that I do not think is possible given their level of talent and health right now. That, if the Commanders lose this game, I just think they're done.
Look, I'm with you in that I've pretty much written off the Cowboys, too. I called them a tomato can on Monday, and so they're pretty much done. If they lose this, it's just, back-to-back losses. They've beaten the Giants with Russell Wilson and the Jets. So the Giants were 0-3 with Russ. So technically, the teams they beat are 0-9.
Yeah,
I mean,
not technically,
but technically they got 2 wins, right?
Spiritually, they've beaten 0-9
teams.
Yeah.
And so if you lose,
they tied the Green Bay Packers.
Tied Green Bay. Somehow the Green Bay sleptwalked through that game. But Washington, what gives me pause is what you kind of alluded. You just said they got Kansas City coming
and then the next two after that.
Seattle, Detroit, Philly after that. I don't know if Philly's right after.
No, Philly's not right after.
They still have Philly twice.
But they go Kansas City, Seattle, Detroit, and then still 2 left against Philly is the problem.
Yeah. And so if you lose this game to the Cowboys,
I think you're
potentially you could lose. You could go on a 5-game losing streak, counting the Bears' loss. But I'm gonna go against that and say because they have some help on the way, unlike Dallas. Like Dorrance Armstrong, is out right now. Terry McLaurin is out.
But when's Terry gonna be back?
I'm assuming they'll get back, at some point soon. And Jaden, I think, has played well. And look, I know he had the 2 turnovers this last game, but I think he's looked good. So I would keep them alive, although that murderer's row coming up on the schedule does bother me.
Yes, I see it differently. Depending on what happens with Philadelphia. So let's say Philly goes to Minnesota and they lose their 3rd straight and things continue to implode there. And then even the loser of this game at that point is only a game behind the division. And when you look at it, last night we saw Cincinnati and they get life with the new quarterback. And I think people are now thinking maybe they got a shot to make a little bit of noise just by infusing a quarterback. Well, Dallas has a really good quarterback. Washington has a really good quarterback. We don't know what's, Jackson Dart, the jury's still out, but it looks like it's trending in that direction. And then Philadelphia, even when things are going well, things aren't going well. So to say that the loser of this game is out, this division to me is wide open, not because every team is so good that they're just knocking each other off and they're continuing to climb up the ladder. It's just everybody has different problems. I'm really concerned about Washington's age. I said that before the season because as the season goes on, older teams tend to get hurt even more, and that's problematic. Philly is such a wild card. Do they dig their way out, or does that continue to go south? And now those two Philly games late could be a great thing for Washington.
Right, like which Philly team are we getting? Are we getting the Super Bowl team or are we getting the supernatural fun?
Listen, that's totally fair, and it's weird for me to be the one kind of in this role. But as like the Philly optimist, I guess, I just look at Philly as that team, especially given the fact that they're not dealing with catastrophic injury across the board, has a floor of 10 wins. And they literally have had that. Even the supernatural funk year, they won 11. To me, even if Philly, it's as bad as it looks, I still think they find a way to win 10 games. And my point is, I just don't. If Washington loses this game, if you lose to the Bears in a game you need, and then you lose to the Cowboys coming off that, then you also might not be very good.
So the year after we won the first Super Bowl, we ended up going 9-7 that next year and tying with the Jets, but we lost the tiebreaker and didn't go to the playoffs. And the season is a little bit like Philly's, where we started out great, then we hit some bumps, and then it was up and down all season, and the whole division was clumped together, and the Jets won the tiebreaker. It feels a little bit like that to me, where this road isn't going to be smooth for Philly even when it gets going. Just because they're dealing with success, they're dealing with pressure, they're dealing with all the things that come with being the champs.
Dak has won 7 of his last 8 against the Commanders. Eagles are favored in Minnesota just by a little. Carson Wentz is going to play. There was some idea that JJ was going to play. Jalen Hurts is 2-0 against the Vikings in his career. Philly trying to break their 2-game sort of natural funk in hopes that it doesn't become supernatural at 3. That's the line of demarcation there, bro.
It's 3 supernatural. Is
I think
that like
3 is 2 is just.
You think with 3 kick it off?
It starts to get funky.
Maybe, yeah.
Are you expecting? Is anyone expecting a huge game from Jalen Hurts?
I'm expecting a Philadelphia win.
I like it.
That's all I'm expecting. After that, I don't know. I don't know how you could know what Hurts is going to do. Here's the graphic for Hurts this year. In the wins, he's throwing for 150 yards a game. Yeah. In the 2 losses, he's throwing for 281. And those, but coach, here's the thing,
Ball
coach.
control, coach.
Those aren't though just because, and I know you're not saying this, but those aren't like the 281 yards aren't because they were down and they had to start hurling it, because they were up 17-3 on Denver. Because of the pass game. I will say this, because the run game is so poor right now, it's hard to fathom them winning without Jalen playing well, but it might be with his legs. He might have 2 running touchdowns, and that, it'll be a good game from him, but only throw for 160 yards or something like that. So I don't know what he'll do in the air, but he does have to have a good game some way.
So the last 2 games, 33 attempts, 38 attempts, and 17 points. So and his overall quarterback rating wasn't bad by any stretch, but they scored 17 points. And the other issue is there's 9 sacks in those 2 games. And then the other game that he's had 30-plus attempts, which is against the Rams, he was sacked 4 times. So it comes with those problems as well. And if they're going to pivot to it being Jalen Hurts-centric, like they did after they gave him the big contract, how did that go? It went with 15 interceptions and 5 fumbles. And he was, I think, 3rd in the league in turnovers overall. I don't know what a big game looks like for Jalen Hurts. I'm with you, Brew. To me, a big game is an Eagles victory, however they get to it. But I don't think that's going to quell the problems that are continuing to bubble up. They're having meetings with the coaches and the players and working on things. It's not going to quiet things down if they go back to the old formula and find a win. Just isn't.
I have an insane graphic. Don't show it yet, please. Oh, wow. Because I was looking at this question literally, like a huge game. So I was thinking 300 yards and at least a touchdown, which is not like an outrageous ask for a great
air
quarterback.
yards, right? Not total yards.
300, not air yards.
300
passing yards and at least a touchdown. But the touchdown can be through the leg, running or because I know you like total touchdowns.
Sure.
I tried to, but 300 passing yards.
I'm surprised it's so low though.
So what?
Just one touchdown.
So here's why I'm saying that. No,
fit the graphic.
No, it's insane because I tried to make it as low a threshold as possible. That was a huge game, but fair and not cook the books. Would you believe that Jalen Hurts has gone 28 games, including the playoffs, without doing that? And that is the longest streak of any starting quarterback in the league. Here are I think the general consensus 10 best quarterbacks in the league. And again, we could quibble or whatever, but I just tried to do it as fairly as possible. Lamar has a crazy long one as well, but that's all of last year.
And he doesn't throw it. And that's true for Hurts too. Right, they don't throw it as much.
Correct. But
or Allen.
That is somewhat stunning. And the fact that it's the longest, not just of the 10 good to great quarterbacks, but of any quarterback in the league. So my point is this. If they need that from him, you can't expect it. He hasn't done it since Christmas of 23. And so
it includes
the playoffs.
What did he have against the Steelers? I felt like the Steelers.
Yeah, I know. We all were like, that was a crazy game. It was 260 yards.
60.
And or maybe I thought it was 260, but it was not 300.
Yep.
The Super Bowl he had 220 passes.
Well, he didn't play the whole game.
Sure. The NFC Championship game when they scored 55, he had 240.
Yep.
And so it's just not a gear he's been able to activate. It's not. But the point I'm kind of clumsily getting to is I think they need it because they don't have the running game they used to have. They just don't, man.
They have to try. So do you want to pop up real quick? I promise I won't hurt our commercial break dust. The Vikings defense. You can't throw on them and you can't run on them, basically.
Well,
so
you got to do something.
Well, so they're second in passing yards and third. They're only 5 passing touchdowns. But you can run.
Oh, you can. I'm sorry. You said that. You can't pass, but you can run.
You can't pass, but you can run.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you couldn't do either.
So this should be a Saquon game. Narratively, we want it to be a Jalen Hurts game. A.J. Brown wants it to be
a Jalen Hurts game on the ground.
Yeah, but it really should be a Saquon game. That's how guys have been, scoring on the Vikings.
Yeah, but Saquon might not be Saquon this year.
He has to be.
A mix of Saquon and A.J. Dillon.
He's got to be closer to Saquon last year than the Saquon we have now. Maybe he's not going to be all the way back, but we can't be 2.5 yards less than your average.
Right.
I agree.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.